I wasn't supposed to open that drawer. Adrian told me that clearly, calmly, almost gently. But the silence in the house that night felt different, heavy like a warning pressing against my ribs. And as I searched his office for a document he had asked me to print earlier, my fingers brushed against the cold brass handle hidden beneath the desk. Locked. Of course it was locked. Adrian Cole locked nothing casually. Every object in his office had purpose. Precise, deliberate, controlled. The billionaire tech CEO was famous for that control. His company ran half the world's financial security systems, and yet the key was still inside the lock. I remember freezing. Something felt wrong. My heart thumped louder than the ticking clock on the wall as I slowly turned the key and slid the drawer open just enough to see inside. A single phone. Black. Old model. Silent. Why hide a phone? I reached for it. The screen suddenly lit up. Incoming call. Caller ID. Unknown wife. My throat tightened. I shouldn't answer, but I did. The line connected with a faint crackle, and a woman's breath trembled through the speaker before her whisper cut through the quiet room. If you married Adrian? A pause, then colder words. You're in danger. The line went dead. I stared at the dark screen. My hands were shaking. Something inside my perfect marriage had just cracked open, and I could feel it spreading. Before we go deeper into this story, if you're new here or you've been watching quietly for a while, welcome. This channel tells the kind of stories that stay with you long after the screen fades to black. So tell me in the comments, where are you watching from tonight? And if stories like this pull you in, consider subscribing. Now let's continue. Lena Hart didn't believe in fairy tales. She believed in hard work, in patience, in the slow climb out of ordinary life. But Adrian Cole had entered her world like a perfectly timed miracle. They met on a rainy Tuesday afternoon in a small art gallery downtown where Lena worked part-time organizing exhibitions, and Adrian had arrived quietly without his usual entourage, studying a painting for nearly 10 minutes before asking her a simple question. Do you believe people hide their truth? His voice had been calm, measured. Lena remembered laughing softly. Everyone hides something. Adrian studied her carefully then, longer than necessary, as if measuring whether she understood more than she said. The billionaire tech founder rarely appeared in public without headlines following him, yet that afternoon he seemed almost ordinary. Almost. But when he bought 3 paintings without checking the price, Lena realized exactly who he was. Adrian Cole, the man who built a billion-dollar cybersecurity empire before turning 35, the man who controlled digital secrets. And suddenly, he wanted to know hers. Their relationship moved quickly, too quickly, but at the time it felt like gravity pulling them together. Adrian called her the next day, then the next, then every evening after that. Dinner invitations became quiet walks through private gardens, helicopter rides above the city skyline, and conversations that stretched late into the night while Adrian asked questions about Lena's childhood, her fears, her ambitions. Yet he revealed almost nothing about himself. Not really. Whenever Lena asked about his past relationships, Adrian simply smiled and redirected the conversation. No one important. That was all he said. At first she believed him, but sometimes late at night when his expression drifted into distant thought, Lena noticed something strange, a shadow behind his calm, something heavy, something unfinished. And once, during a dinner overlooking the ocean, she had asked gently, "Did someone hurt you?" Adrian's jaw tightened. For half a second. Then the billionaire recovered instantly. Not anymore. The answer sounded final, but it didn't feel complete. 3 months later, Adrian proposed. No dramatic public spectacle, no reporters, just a quiet private moment in the penthouse balcony overlooking the city lights. He handed Lena a velvet ring box. Inside sat a diamond so large it almost looked unreal. I don't do ordinary relationships, Adrian told her calmly. I know. And if you marry me, there will be rules. Lena laughed lightly. Rules? But Adrian wasn't joking. His voice turned serious. 3 rules. Never enter his office when he isn't home. Never answer unknown calls on his private line. And never ask questions about his past. The conditions sounded strange, even controlling. But Adrian's eyes held something else. Not arrogance, fear. And in that moment, Lena convinced herself every powerful man carried complicated baggage. So she said yes. That decision would change everything. Their wedding shocked everyone because no one saw it coming. No media announcement, no celebrity guests. Just a private ceremony on a remote coastal estate owned by Adrian's company. A few executives attended. Sophia Reed stood beside Adrian as his assistant and closest confidant. Lena remembered noticing something strange about Sophia that day. The woman watched Adrian carefully, not with admiration, with concern. During the reception, Sophia quietly approached Lena. Her voice was soft, almost hesitant. "You should be careful with Adrian." Lena blinked. "Why?" Sophia forced a polite smile. "He protects people in ways that can become dangerous." That answer made no sense. But before Lena could ask more, Adrian called Sophia away, and the moment disappeared. Still, the words stayed. Marriage with Adrian Cole felt surreal. The mansion alone could have housed 20 families. Glass walls, ocean views, private security stationed discreetly around the property. Every detail managed by Adrian's system of quiet efficiency. Yet Adrian himself behaved differently behind closed doors. Gentler, attentive. He cooked breakfast some mornings. He remembered tiny details Lena mentioned once in passing. Her favorite tea, her childhood songs. Sometimes Lena thought she had married the most thoughtful man alive, but other moments unsettled her. Adrian took phone calls late at night in his office, always alone, always locking the door. And once, when Lena accidentally approached the hallway during one of those calls, Adrian ended the conversation instantly. His expression turned sharp. "Lena." Just her name. Nothing more. But the warning was clear. Stay away. Weeks passed. The strange rules became routine, until the night Lena heard Adrian arguing, loudly, from inside the office. She had never heard him lose control before. But that night his voice carried anger. "You promised the deal was finished." Silence on the other side of the line. Then Adrian again. "No, I'm not risking another one." Another one. Lena froze in the hallway. The words echoed in her mind. Another one. Another what? Footsteps suddenly approached the door. Lena rushed back toward the staircase just before Adrian opened it. When he stepped into the hallway, his expression looked calm again. Too calm. And Lena realized something terrifying. He knew she had been there, but he said nothing. That same night, Adrian left unexpectedly for a late meeting. The house fell silent. Lena tried to ignore the restless feeling crawling through her thoughts, but curiosity kept growing, until she finally walked toward Adrian's office. The door stood unlocked. Inside, everything looked perfectly organized, except one thing. The drawer. The one Adrian had warned her about. Her heart began pounding again, because now she knew what was inside. The secret phone. And suddenly the screen lit up. Incoming call. Unknown wife. The phone vibrated softly in her hand. The room felt colder. Lena hesitated. Then she answered. The voice on the phone sounded terrified, breathing fast. "Listen carefully," the woman whispered. "You don't know what Adrian really does." Lena's chest tightened. "What are you talking about?" "You think you're his wife." A bitter laugh came through the line. "I thought that too." The sentence landed like a knife. Lena's mind raced. "Who are you?" But the woman didn't answer immediately. Instead, she asked one chilling question. "Has he given you the ring yet?" Lena looked down at the diamond on her finger. Cold realization spread slowly through her chest. "Yes," she whispered. The woman inhaled sharply, then said the words that shattered Lena's sense of safety. "Then you're already involved?" A sudden noise echoed from the front entrance. A car door closing. Adrian was home. The line went silent. Lena quickly shoved the phone back inside the drawer, locking it again just as Adrian's footsteps entered the house. She stepped out of the office, trying to look normal, but Adrian paused when he saw her. His gaze dropped slowly to her trembling hands, and he asked one quiet question. "Lena, were you in my office?" The room felt suddenly smaller, and Lena realized something worse than fear. Adrian Cole already knew the answer. Adrian didn't raise his voice. That made it worse. He stood in the hallway beneath the soft chandelier light, his expression unreadable, his posture relaxed in that precise way Powerful men learn when they never want to appear threatened. Lena felt her pulse hammering. "I was looking for the printer," she said carefully. Adrian's gaze stayed on her. Too long. The silence stretched between them like a wire pulled tight, and Lena realized something terrifying. Adrian wasn't checking if she was lying. He was measuring how well she lied. Finally, he nodded slowly. "Next time, ask Sophia." A simple answer, but not forgiveness. Adrian walked past her toward the office, and Lena's stomach twisted when she heard the soft click of the door closing behind him. Then another sound, the drawer opening. I stopped breathing. For several seconds, nothing happened. Then Adrian stepped back into the hallway, adjusting the cuffs of his shirt as if he had simply forgotten something earlier. His eyes met hers again, calm, controlled. "You look pale," he said. Lena forced a smile. "I'm just tired." Adrian studied her face carefully. Then he reached out and gently touched her cheek. The gesture looked affectionate, but his fingers felt like a test. "Get some rest," he said. And for the first time since their marriage began, Lena wondered if the man she loved had just checked whether she had crossed a line she couldn't return from. Lena barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she heard the whisper again. "You're already involved." Morning arrived quietly through the glass walls of the mansion, sunlight stretching across the marble floor, while Adrian sat at the kitchen island, reading financial reports on his tablet as if nothing unusual had happened the night before. Perfect composure, perfect routine. Lena poured coffee with steady hands. Too steady. "Big meeting today?" she asked. Adrian nodded without looking up. "Victor Kane's board is trying another acquisition attempt." The name felt unfamiliar, but Adrian's tone changed slightly when he said it. Sharper, colder. Lena sat across from him. "Is he dangerous?" Adrian finally looked up. His eyes held something dark. "Very." That single word settled heavily in the room. And then Adrian smiled again, softening the tension instantly. "But it won't affect us." Us. The word should have felt comforting. Instead, it felt like a wall, because Lena suddenly realized Adrian's world was full of enemies she had never even heard about. And somewhere in that hidden world, a woman believed she had also been his wife. Adrian left for work an hour later. His security convoy rolled down the long private driveway until the gates closed again. Silence returned, but Lena's mind refused to settle. She tried to ignore the drawer. She really did. Yet curiosity is stronger than promises once doubt enters a marriage. By noon, she was standing outside Adrian's office again. My chest felt tight. The drawer opened exactly the same way as before. Inside lay the phone, still powered on, still silent. Lena picked it up and scrolled through the contact list. Her stomach dropped instantly. Wife number 3, wife number 4, emergency contact. Her fingers trembled. There were dozens of numbers, no names, just labels. Then Lena opened the photo gallery. Her breath stopped. Picture after picture appeared on the screen. Different women, different locations. But every woman wore the same ring now resting on Lena's finger. I felt sick, because in every photo, Adrian stood beside them, holding their hands, smiling like a husband. The last photo felt worse. It was taken 2 years ago. A young woman stood beside Adrian outside what looked like an airport terminal, her arm linked through his while the ring on her finger caught the sunlight. Lena zoomed in. The woman looked scared, not happy. Her smile felt forced, and Adrian's expression looked different, protective, almost urgent. Why would Adrian stage a marriage photo like that? Lena scrolled further down, then noticed something strange. Each photo was followed by a location tag. Different cities, different countries. Paris, Zurich, Singapore. The pattern felt deliberate, like a trail. Suddenly, Lena heard a sound outside the office window, a car pulling into the driveway. Her heart jumped. Adrian couldn't be back already. She rushed to the window. Not Adrian, a black sedan. Sophia Reed stepped out. Adrian's assistant rarely visited the house, unless something was wrong. Lena quickly shoved the phone back inside the drawer and locked it again, just as the front door opened downstairs. Sophia's heels clicked sharply across the marble floor, and Lena suddenly had a feeling. Sophia might already know about the phone. Sophia didn't bother with pleasantries. She entered the living room with a tablet in her hand, her expression tight with professional focus. Adrian asked me to retrieve some documents. Lena nodded slowly. From the office? Sophia paused, just briefly. Then she nodded back. Yes. The answer sounded simple, but something shifted in Sophia's eyes. Awareness. Lena walked toward the office door with her. Each step felt heavier. Sophia noticed the tension instantly. You look stressed, she said casually. Just tired. Sophia stopped walking. Her gaze sharpened. Lena, did Adrian explain what kind of enemies he has? The question came out of nowhere. Lena shook her head. Sophia exhaled quietly. Then she said something unexpected. Then he made a mistake. Lena's chest tightened. What mistake? Sophia hesitated. For the first time since Lena met her, the assistant looked uncertain. Not telling you the truth sooner. The office door opened, and suddenly Lena felt like the secrets inside that room were growing heavier by the minute. Sophia worked quickly inside the office. She opened cabinets, scanned documents, and transferred files to her tablet with efficient precision. Lena stood near the window, pretending to check messages on her phone. But her thoughts stayed fixed on the drawer. Finally, Lena spoke. Do you trust Adrian? Sophia didn't answer immediately. She finished scanning one document first, then looked up. With my life. The certainty surprised Lena. But that doesn't mean his world is safe. Lena crossed her arms. You warned me at the wedding. Sophia nodded slowly. Yes. Why? Sophia's expression turned serious, because she had clearly debated whether to say the next words. Because Adrian doesn't just run a tech company. Lena waited. Sophia lowered her voice. He fixes problems powerful people create. The phrase sounded vague, dangerously vague. What kind of problems? Lena asked. Sophia met her eyes directly. The kind that make people disappear. The room went quiet, and Lena realized something chilling. Maybe the photos on that phone weren't romantic at all. Maybe they were evidence. Sophia left soon after, but the conversation refused to leave Lena's mind. Disappear. The word echoed. By evening, Lena was sitting alone in the living room, watching news coverage of Adrian's company dominating global cybersecurity markets, while commentators praised Adrian Cole as a visionary genius. Public image. Perfect reputation. Yet hidden inside his desk drawer were photos of women who looked terrified. My stomach twisted again. What if the whispering woman had been right? What if Adrian had married them? And then something happened. The thought felt impossible, but doubt grows quickly once planted. Just then, Lena's phone buzzed with a notification. Unknown number. A message appeared. Stop looking. Her heart stopped. Another message followed immediately. Victor Kane knows about you now. Lena stared at the screen. Her fingers went cold. Someone was watching her. Adrian returned home later that night, but something about him felt different, more alert, more guarded. He poured a drink slowly while studying Lena from across the room. Did Sophia visit? Lena nodded. Yes. Adrian swirled the glass. What did she tell you? The question sounded casual, but Lena recognized the trap inside it. I hesitated. Just work things. Adrian watched her closely. Then he stepped closer. Lena. His voice softened. You trust me, right? The question should have been easy. Instead, Lena heard the whisper again. You're already involved. She forced herself to nod. Yes. Adrian smiled faintly, but the smile didn't reach his eyes. Good, he said quietly. Then he added something that chilled her. Because things might get complicated soon. The statement lingered in the air. And Lena realized Adrian wasn't warning her. He was preparing her. That night, Lena woke up suddenly. A sound had pulled her from sleep, a faint vibration, not from her phone, from somewhere else. She sat up slowly. The mansion was dark, quiet. Then the vibration came again. Soft. Buzz. Buzz. Lena's heart pounded as she slipped out of bed and walked toward Adrian's office. The door was slightly open. Inside, the desk drawer glowed faintly. The hidden phone was ringing. Again. Caller ID lit up the screen. Wife number 3. My throat tightened. I answered. The voice on the other end spoke urgently. He found you. Lena's pulse raced. Who? The woman whispered 3 words. Victor Kane knows. Then the line cut. Lena slowly lowered the phone, but another sound froze her in place. Adrian's voice behind her. Quiet, controlled. Lena. She turned slowly. Adrian stood in the doorway, watching her, watching the phone in her hand, and for the first time since she met him, Adrian Cole looked afraid. Adrian didn't move. Neither did Lena. The glowing phone between them hummed softly in her hand, its screen slowly dimming while the silence thickened inside the office. For the first time since she met him, Adrian Cole looked shaken, not angry, not controlling, afraid. His eyes dropped to the phone, then back to her face. You answered it, he said quietly. It wasn't a question. Lena's throat felt dry. Yes. The word hung in the air. Adrian closed the office door behind him slowly, the soft click echoing louder than it should have. And for a moment, Lena thought he might explode in anger. Instead, he exhaled. A long breath. How much did you hear? Lena's voice trembled. Enough. Adrian studied her carefully, as if calculating what damage had already been done. Then he stepped closer. His voice lowered. Did she mention Victor Kane? Lena nodded. Adrian's jaw tightened instantly. For half a second, the billionaire's perfect composure cracked. Then he whispered something that chilled her. Then we're already too late. The phone slipped slightly in Lena's trembling hand, and suddenly this wasn't about secrets anymore. It was about danger. Lena expected shouting, maybe accusations. Instead, Adrian sat down slowly in the leather chair behind his desk, his hands pressed together as if steadying his thoughts. The shift confused her. You're not even surprised, she said. Adrian looked up. I hoped this moment would never happen. The answer sounded honest, painfully honest. Lena stepped forward. Then explain. Adrian glanced toward the drawer, toward the phone, toward the secrets he had buried there. Those women, Lena continued carefully, the ones labeled wives. Adrian closed his eyes briefly, then opened them again. They were never my wives. Lena let out a bitter laugh. I've seen the photos. I know. Silence fell again. Adrian leaned forward slightly. You deserve the truth, he said, but his next words came slower. Yana, because even he understood what the truth might destroy. They were women who needed protection. Lena blinked. Protection from what? Adrian's answer came like a stone dropped in water. Victor Kane. The name echoed through the room, and suddenly the enemy from the morning news felt very real. Adrian stood and walked toward the window. Outside, the ocean stretched dark and endless beneath the moon. Victor Kane runs a network most people don't even know exists, Adrian said quietly. Lena watched him carefully. Human trafficking, he continued, money laundering, identity erasure. Each word grew heavier. He targets women with valuable connections, financial access, or legal leverage. Lena felt her stomach turn. And the ones on the phone? Adrian turned toward her. They were targets. His voice hardened. I intercepted those operations. The explanation sounded impossible. You married them? Lena asked. Adrian nodded once. Yes. But why? Adrian's answer came instantly. Because marriage gave them legal protection under my security systems. The logic hit Lena slowly. A marriage certificate. Is shared identity. Financial shield. It was the fastest way to make someone legally unreachable. But the photos, proof they were under my protection. The truth shifted the entire picture. Suddenly, the images didn't look romantic anymore. They looked strategic, but Lena still felt uneasy. Then why hide it from me? Adrian's gaze darkened again. Because once you knew, he paused, you would become part of the target list. The weight of that statement settled heavily between them. Lena tried to process everything. Her mind raced through every strange moment of their marriage, the locked office, the late calls, Sophia's warning. They're safe now? She asked quietly. Adrian nodded. Every one of them. He walked back toward the desk. The phone exists so they can contact me if Victor's network resurfaces. Lena looked at the device in her hand again. Suddenly it felt heavier. Then why did wife number 3 say Victor knows about me? Adrian didn't answer immediately. Instead, he picked up the phone and checked the call log. His expression shifted instantly. Sharp. Focused. That call came from an encrypted relay. What does that mean? Adrian's voice hardened. It means someone traced the line. Lena's chest tightened. Victor? Adrian looked straight at her. Yes. The word landed like a hammer. And suddenly the mansion didn't feel safe anymore. Adrian turned toward the hallway. We need to move you somewhere secure. But Lena grabbed his arm. No, Adrian frowned. You don't understand the danger. Then make me understand. For a moment they stared at each other, trust balanced on a knife edge. Finally, Adrian nodded slowly. All right. But something about his tone suggested the worst part of the story hadn't even started yet. Adrian opened a secure folder on his computer. Several encrypted files appeared instantly. He hesitated before clicking the first one. This is Victor Kane. The screen filled with surveillance images, a tall man in expensive suits. Sharp smile, cold eyes. Lena leaned closer. He looks like a businessman. Adrian's voice turned flat. He is. He opened another file. Crime scene photos, police reports, missing persons. Officially, none of these connect to him, Adrian explained, but they all disappear after crossing his network. Lena felt a chill run through her body. And the women you protected? Every one of them was scheduled to vanish. The realization hit hard. You saved them. Adrian didn't smile. Temporarily, Lena frowned. What does that mean? Adrian pointed to a line of data on the screen. Victor Kane, status, active investigation. He's been rebuilding his operation. Lena's pulse quickened. And now, Adrian closed the laptop slowly. Now he knows I married you. The room went silent, because Lena suddenly understood something terrifying. This time, she wasn't part of the rescue. She was the target. They moved quickly after that. Adrian called security. Within minutes, the mansion's quiet atmosphere changed completely. Guards began checking entrances. Vehicles repositioned outside the gates. Lena watched from the staircase. My life just changed. Adrian approached her again. You'll stay in the safe wing tonight. The what? He gestured down a hidden hallway. Panic rooms. Independent security grid. The existence of secret bunkers inside the mansion should have surprised her, but now it felt almost expected. You planned for this, Lena said quietly. Adrian's expression tightened. I planned for everything. Then his phone rang. Sophia. Adrian answered immediately. What happened? He asked. A pause, his face darkened. When? Another pause, then Adrian said two words that made Lena's stomach drop. Oh, I'm coming. He ended the call. Lena stepped closer. What's wrong? Adrian looked at her carefully, then delivered the worst news yet. Sophia just disappeared. Adrian's car cut through the night like a blade. Lena sat beside him despite his earlier protests. I'm not hiding, she insisted. Now the city lights rushed past the windows, while Adrian drove faster than she had ever seen. Sophia doesn't vanish without a reason, he said tightly. You think Victor took her? Adrian didn't answer. That silence felt louder than confirmation. Minutes later, they arrived at Adrian's corporate headquarters. The building glowed with emergency lights. Security teams waited at the entrance. Adrian stepped out. Show me everything. Inside the operations room, dozens of screens displayed surveillance footage. A security chief approached. Last sighting was 2 hours ago. Footage began playing. Sophia exiting the building, walking toward her car. Then, a black van sliding into frame. The video cut to static. Lena felt her breath catch. Adrian's fist clenched slowly. Victor Kane had just made his first move. Security analysts replayed the footage repeatedly while Adrian stood behind them, silent but visibly calculating every possibility. Lena noticed something strange. He wasn't panicking, he was planning. Run license patterns, Adrian ordered. Trace traffic cameras within 5 kilometers. Commands flew across the room, then a technician spoke up. Sir, we received a message. Adrian turned instantly. From who? The technician hesitated. It came through Sophia's phone. A message appeared on the central screen. 1 sentence. Trade offer. Lena's pulse raced. Adrian stepped closer to read it. The message continued. Trade your new wife. A pause in the text. Then the final line appeared, or lose them both. The entire room fell silent. Adrian slowly turned toward Lena. For the first time since this nightmare began, she saw pure rage burning in his eyes. Victor Kane wasn't playing games anymore. He had declared war. The message stayed on the screen. Cold, precise, personal. Trade your new wife, or lose them both. No signature was needed. Everyone in the operations room understood who sent it. Victor Kane. Adrian didn't react immediately. He stood motionless, reading the sentence again, as if analyzing every letter for hidden meaning. Then he spoke. Trace the relay. The technician nodded quickly, fingers racing across the keyboard. Encrypted routing. Multiple bounce servers. Adrian's voice hardened. How long? Maybe 15 minutes. Too long. Lena stepped closer to the screen. You can't seriously consider it. Adrian didn't answer. His silence made the room colder. My chest tightened. Adrian, she pressed quietly. He finally looked at her. I'm considering every option. The words sounded logical, strategic. But Lena heard the dangerous part beneath them. Adrian Cole was a man who calculated outcomes. And right now, she was part of the equation. Adrian walked away from the screens and into a smaller glass conference room overlooking the operations floor. Lena followed immediately. The door shut behind them. Soundproof. Good, because the tension between them was about to explode. You're not trading me, Lena said firmly. Adrian turned. I'm not losing Sophia. The words collided. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Lena stepped closer. She's your employee. Adrian's eyes sharpened. She's family. That answer hit harder than expected. Lena lowered her voice. And what am I? Adrian hesitated, just 1 second, but Lena felt it. Finally, he answered. You're the reason this is happening. The statement landed brutally, but Adrian's next words came fast. Hannah and Victor never targeted the others this aggressively. Why? Because they were temporary. Lena understood instantly. The previous marriages were strategic, disposable. But this one was real, and Victor Kane knew it. Adrian leaned against the table, thinking. His mind was moving fast. Too fast. Victor Kane had escalated the situation beyond anything Adrian expected, which meant one thing. Victor wanted something more than revenge. What if it's not about me? Lena said suddenly. Adrian looked up. Explain. She walked slowly around the table, replaying everything she had learned in the past 24 hours. The women you protected, they were connected to powerful people. Adrian nodded once. Yes. Legal access, financial access, political leverage. Adrian's eyes narrowed slightly. Victor lost those opportunities because of you. Lena stopped. But what if he thinks I'm another one of those opportunities? Adrian's expression shifted. Not fear, recognition. Wait, you think he believes you're connected to something valuable? Lena shrugged faintly. I married a billionaire. The logic settled in the room. Victor Kane might not want Lena dead. He might want control. Adrian straightened slowly, which meant the situation had just become far more complicated. Because people who want leverage rarely stop at one hostage. A technician burst into the conference room. Sir, we traced part of the relay. Adrian turned instantly. Location? Temporary signal near the harbor district. Adrian grabbed his coat. Prepare a team. Lena stepped forward. I'm coming. No. The answer came instantly. Too instantly. You're the target. And Sophia isn't? Lena shot back. Adrian stopped. For a moment, the Billionaire CEO looked less like a strategist and more like a man trapped between impossible decisions. Finally, he spoke. You stay here. Lena crossed her arms. No. Adrian studied her. The stubbornness in her eyes was familiar now. Very familiar. Then he exhaled slowly. Fine. The decision shocked everyone in the room. Adrian looked toward his security chief. 2 armored vehicles. Then back at Lena. You stay beside me the entire time. She nodded. My heart was racing, because somewhere in the harbor district, Victor Kane might already be waiting. The harbor district at night felt like another city entirely. Cargo cranes loomed over the docks like metal giants while fog rolled slowly across the dark water. Adrian's convoy stopped beside an abandoned warehouse. Security teams spread out instantly, weapons ready. Lena stayed close beside Adrian. The air smelled like salt and rust. "You think he's here?" she whispered. Adrian scanned the building carefully. "No." That answer surprised her. "Then why come?" Adrian nodded toward the warehouse entrance. "Because Victor wants us to." The logic hit immediately. This wasn't a rescue. It was a message. They entered cautiously. Inside the warehouse stood a single chair beneath a hanging light. Sophia sat in it, hands tied, alive. Relief flooded Lena's chest. But Adrian didn't move. Something felt wrong. Too easy. Then Sophia lifted her head. Her eyes widened. "Adrian, don't—" The lights exploded off. Darkness swallowed the warehouse. Gunfire cracked through the darkness. Security agents shouted. Flashlights cut sharp beams across the warehouse floor. Lena ducked instinctively while Adrian pulled her behind a steel pillar. "Stay down," he ordered. My ears rang. More gunshots echoed from the far side of the building. Then suddenly, silence. Adrian signaled his team. Lights flickered back on. The warehouse stood empty. Sophia was gone. The chair sat overturned. Rope cut clean. Lena stared in disbelief. "It was a trap!" Adrian nodded grimly, but something else caught his attention. A phone sat on the floor where the chair had been. Adrian picked it up carefully. A video began playing automatically. Victor Kane appeared on the screen. Tall, elegant, smiling calmly. "Good evening, Adrian." The man's voice sounded almost friendly. Behind him, Sophia sat restrained in another location, very much alive. Victor tilted his head slightly. "You always did like dramatic entrances." Adrian's eyes burned with anger. "Let her go." Victor chuckled softly. "Oh, Adrian, you misunderstand." He leaned closer to the camera. "This is only the beginning." Victor Kane's image filled the screen. Confident, relaxed, completely in control. "You've interfered with my operations for years," Victor continued calmly. Adrian said nothing. Victor smiled wider. "But I admire loyalty." He gestured toward Sophia behind him. "So I decided to offer you a choice." The video zoomed slightly closer. One life or another. Lena felt Adrian tense beside her. Victor continued speaking. "You save your assistant," a pause, "or you save your wife." The words echoed in the empty warehouse. Victor leaned back casually. "You have 48 hours. Then he added one final twist. "Oh, and Adrian?" Adrian's jaw clenched. "Yes?" Victor's smile sharpened. "I already know where the other wives are." The screen went black. Lena felt her blood run cold. Because the war Adrian thought he controlled had just spread far beyond them. The ride back to headquarters was silent, heavy. Lena watched the city lights pass the window while Victor's final words replayed again and again in her mind. He knew where the other women were, which meant they were in danger again. Adrian sat beside her, completely still, his mind clearly racing through strategies. Finally, Lena spoke softly. "What if we call them?" Adrian turned. "The women. The ones you saved." Adrian frowned slightly. "They're safe." "Not anymore." The truth settled slowly. Victor Kane had expanded the battlefield. And suddenly Lena realized something important. The women Adrian saved weren't just victims. They were witnesses. They knew Victor's operations, his locations, his network. Adrian's eyes widened slightly. "You're thinking we gather them?" Lena nodded. "Either together. A dangerous plan, but maybe the only one." Adrian leaned back slowly. For the first time since the nightmare began, he looked at Lena with something new. Respect. "You might be right." The war had just changed strategy, and Lena Hart had just stepped into it willingly. Back at headquarters, Adrian reopened the secret phone. The contact list glowed on the screen. Wife number 1, wife number 2, wife number 3. Each name represented a life he once helped disappear from Victor Kane's reach. Until now. Lena stood beside him. "If Victor knows where they are..." "They're already targets again," Adrian finished. He began sending encrypted messages, one by one, each message simple. Emergency protocol. Within minutes, the phone began vibrating with responses. Short replies, fearful questions, but also something else. Trust. They trusted Adrian because he had saved them before. Lena looked at the glowing screen. They'll help. Adrian nodded slowly. Yes. Then he added quietly, but once they arrive. Lena looked at him. What? Adrian's expression turned serious. Victor Kane won't be hunting just one woman anymore. The room fell silent, because if the plan worked, they were about to gather every person Victor Kane wanted dead, in one place. Later that night, Lena stood alone near the massive windows overlooking the city. Lights stretched endlessly below, a beautiful illusion of safety. Behind her, Adrian coordinated security plans with his team, but Lena's mind kept drifting to Victor Kane's voice. One life or another. I'm not running. The thought felt solid now. She turned as Adrian approached. They're coming, he said. How many? Adrian checked the phone again. 5 confirmed so far. 5 women, 5 witnesses, 5 lives Victor Kane wanted erased. Lena exhaled slowly. Then we better end this. Adrian studied her. You're not afraid? Lena met his eyes, terrified. A small pause. Then she added quietly, but I married the man fighting him. For the first time that night, Adrian smiled. Not the controlled public smile, a real one. But just as the moment softened, the secret phone rang again. New caller ID appeared. Unknown target. Adrian answered slowly. The voice on the other side whispered one sentence. He's already inside your system. The line went dead. Adrian and Lena stared at each other, because the war they were preparing for had just entered their home. The phone line went silent. Adrian lowered the device slowly, his expression tightening in a way Lena had never seen before. Inside your system. 3 words. But they changed everything. Adrian turned sharply toward the operations floor, where analysts worked behind glowing monitors. Lock down the network, he ordered. His voice cut through the room instantly. Technicians reacted fast, security protocols cascading across the screens as firewalls activated and encrypted channels began shutting down external access points. Lena stepped closer. What does it mean? Adrian didn't look at her. It means Victor Kane didn't just threaten us. He paused. He infiltrated us. The realization spread across the room like cold air. Adrian's company built some of the most advanced cybersecurity systems on the planet. If someone had entered that network, it wasn't just dangerous, it was impossible. Unless, one analyst spoke suddenly, Sir, the breach originated from an internal authorization. Adrian's head turned sharply. Internal? The technician nodded slowly. Yes, which meant something far worse. Victor Kane didn't break into Adrian's system. Someone inside had opened the door. Adrian replayed the security logs on the main screen. Encrypted access codes scrolled across the display while the analysts traced authorization keys. Every system entry was stamped with employee credentials. Someone trusted. Someone inside the company. Lena watched Adrian carefully. You think there's a mole? Adrian didn't answer immediately, but his eyes moved across the employee ID attached to the breach. Then he exhaled slowly. I don't think. He tapped the screen. I know. The name appeared in the log. For a moment, Lena didn't recognize it. Then the realization struck. Sophia Reed. Lena blinked. That can't be right. Adrian's expression turned grim. Victor used her access. But she's kidnapped. Yes. Adrian's voice lowered. Which means he's forcing her to open the system. The implication felt brutal. Sophia wasn't just a hostage. She was the key Victor Kane needed. Adrian turned to the analysts again. Cut every access point connected to Sophia's credentials. But sir, now! Commands echoed across the room. Firewalls slammed shut. Connections severed. Yet Lena felt a sinking feeling growing inside her. Because if Victor Kane was using Sophia, he probably already had what he wanted. Minutes later, another alert flashed across the screens. Data transfer attempt. Adrian's head snapped toward the display. What file? The analyst's voice tightened. Identity registry. Lena frowned. What's that? Adrian answered quietly. The database containing every protected identity we created. Her chest tightened. The women! Adrian nodded once. Victor Kane wasn't just hunting Lena anymore. He was trying to recover the identities of every woman Adrian helped disappear. If he succeeded, their locations would be exposed. Adrian leaned forward. Can he access it? The technician hesitated. Not yet. Then stop him. The analysts worked furiously, counter-coding against the intrusion while lines of encrypted code flashed across the screens. Seconds passed. Then the technician spoke again. He's using a mirror tunnel. Adrian's voice hardened. Meaning? He's already copied part of the registry. Lena felt her stomach drop. Victor Kane now had a list, and every name on it had a target on their back. The room erupted into controlled chaos. Adrian's analysts fought the breach line by line while emergency protocols activated across the network. Then suddenly, the screens froze. Every monitor went black. Lena's breath caught. What happened? The technician tapped the keyboard rapidly. He shut us out. Adrian stepped closer. How? Another analyst answered quietly. He triggered a remote override. Adrian's eyes darkened. From where? The analyst looked up slowly. From Sophia's device. Silence fell across the room. Victor Kane had forced Sophia to unlock the system completely. Lena turned to Adrian. What now? Adrian's voice dropped to a whisper. Now we assume Victor Kane has every name. The reality landed like thunder. Every woman Adrian saved was now exposed again. And this time, Victor knew exactly where to find them. If this story has pulled you in so far, take a quick second and subscribe to the channel. It helps the stories reach more people who love suspense like this. Now let's continue. Adrian stood silently for several seconds. Then he turned toward Lena. We accelerate the plan. She understood instantly. Gather them. Adrian nodded. Immediately. The women who once hid across different cities would now come together in one location under Adrian's protection. Dangerous, but necessary. Adrian opened the encrypted phone again. Messages began appearing quickly. Wife number 2, already packing. Wife number 4, on my way. Wife number 5, he found me. Lena read the last message twice. He found me. Her chest tightened. Victor's already moving. Adrian nodded grimly. He won't wait. Then another message appeared. From wife number 3. I'm already close. Lena frowned. Close? Adrian's eyes narrowed. Yes. Then he whispered something that made the room colder. Too close. The elevator doors opened on the lower garage level. Adrian and Lena stepped out while security teams prepared vehicles for incoming arrivals. The plan was simple. Bring the women to one secure location. Protect them together. But as Adrian walked across the garage floor, his phone buzzed again. Unknown number. He answered instantly. Adrian. A familiar female voice spoke. I'm downstairs. Adrian froze. Where? Parking level 3. The call ended. Adrian turned toward Lena. That was wife number 3. She's here already? Adrian nodded, but something about his expression shifted. Concern. Stay behind me. They moved quickly toward the parking section. A black car waited in the corner. The driver's door opened slowly. A woman stepped out. Lena recognized her immediately. The same woman from the airport photo. It wife number 3. But the moment she stepped forward, Lena noticed something strange. The woman wasn't afraid. She was smiling. Adrian stopped walking. The smile didn't belong there. Not in a war. Claire, Adrian said cautiously. So that was her name. The woman stepped forward slowly. You look surprised. Adrian studied her carefully. You arrived fast. Claire shrugged lightly. I never went far. The answer made Lena uneasy. Adrian's tone hardened. Why? Claire's smile widened slightly. Because I knew this day would come. Silence stretched between them. Then Lena noticed something else. Claire wasn't wearing the ring anymore. Adrian noticed too. Where is it? He asked. Claire tilted her head. I sold it. The casual tone felt wrong. Very wrong. Adrian's eyes narrowed. You needed money? Claire laughed softly. No. She reached into her pocket slowly, then held up a small device, a tracking beacon. Lena's breath caught, and Claire looked directly at Adrian. Victor says hello, and suddenly the entire garage filled with the sound of approaching engines. Black SUVs roared into the garage entrance. Security guards shouted. Adrian grabbed Lena's arm instantly. Move! Gunmen poured out of the vehicles. Victor Kane's men. The trap had closed. Claire stepped calmly aside while chaos exploded around her. You trusted the wrong person, she said quietly. Adrian pulled Lena behind a concrete pillar while security agents returned fire across the garage. The sound of bullets echoed violently through the structure. Lena's heart slammed against her ribs. Claire watched the firefight calmly. Then she raised her phone and sent a message. One sentence. Target confirmed. Somewhere far away, Victor Kane would receive it. Adrian glanced around quickly. They were surrounded. The ambush had been perfect. Claire turned to leave, but Lena shouted suddenly. Why? Claire paused, then looked back with cold eyes. Because Victor pays better, and she walked away, leaving the war fully unleashed behind her. Gunfire cracked across the concrete garage, echo after echo. Adrian shoved Lena behind a thick support pillar while his security team returned fire toward the incoming vehicles. Metal screamed as bullets ricocheted across the floor. My ears rang. Stay down, Adrian ordered sharply. Two of his agents rushed forward, dragging a wounded guard behind a car while another team pushed toward the garage exit. The attackers were well organized. Too organized. Lena risked a glance around the pillar. Claire was gone. The traitor had vanished into the chaos she helped create. Adrian noticed too. His jaw tightened. She was planted. Lena looked at him. You think Victor planned this from the start? Adrian didn't hesitate. Yes. The realization hit harder than the gunshots. Victor Kane had allowed Adrian to rescue Claire years ago, just to place a future weapon inside his system. A sleeper. Waiting. Adrian grabbed Lena's arm again. We're leaving. How? Adrian nodded toward a narrow service ramp leading deeper into the structure. His security agents began covering their retreat. The war wasn't over. It had only moved underground. They ran through the dim service corridor. The sound of gunfire faded behind them, replaced by the echo of hurried footsteps on wet concrete. Lena struggled to keep pace. Adrian never slowed. His mind was already 3 steps ahead. They knew our arrival time, he muttered. Claire told them. Yes. Adrian's voice hardened. And Victor knew we'd come. The hallway ended at a steel security door. Adrian swiped an emergency badge. The door slid open. Inside waited a narrow armored vehicle bay reserved for emergency evacuation. 2 vehicles remained. One driver turned immediately. Sir, Adrian nodded. Move now. They climbed inside. The engine roared to life. Lena looked through the rear window as the vehicle sped toward the exit tunnel. Flashes of light appeared behind them. The attackers had reached the corridor. Adrian's voice dropped quietly. This isn't just about killing us. Lena frowned. Then what? Adrian's answer came slowly. Victor wanted us distracted. The sentence settled like a storm cloud. Because if this ambush was only a distraction, something worse was happening somewhere else. The convoy burst out of the underground exit ramp into the night streets. Rain had begun falling. City lights blurred across the windshield. Adrian grabbed his phone instantly. Status update, one of his analysts answered through the secure line. Sir, multiple alerts. Adrian's voice sharpened. Explain. There are intrusion attempts across several safe locations. Lena felt her stomach drop. The women. The analyst continued. 3 confirmed breaches. Adrian closed his eyes briefly. Victor Kane hadn't attacked the garage for revenge. He attacked to buy time. While Adrian fought for survival, Victor's men were hunting the other women. Adrian spoke quickly. Activate relocation protocol. Already in progress. How many reached safety? A pause, then the answer. 2. Lena's voice trembled. Oh, and the others? The analyst hesitated. We lost contact. Adrian stared forward through the rain. His plan had collapsed. Victor Kane had forced the battlefield open again. Back at headquarters, the tension had become suffocating. Adrian stormed into the operations room. Analysts stood over flashing screens, tracking multiple signals across the map. Red markers blinked across several cities. Lena approached slowly. Each marker represented a woman Adrian once saved. Each marker now represented danger. "Show me Claire's tracker," Adrian demanded. A technician pulled the signal onto the screen. Claire's location blinked steadily. She hadn't run far, which meant something else. Adrian leaned closer. "She wants us to follow." Lena crossed her arms. "Another trap." "Yes." Adrian studied the coordinates. Industrial district, abandoned factories, perfect territory for Victor's operations. Lena looked at him carefully. "You're still going?" Adrian nodded once. "If Claire leads us to Victor," Lena finished the thought, "the war ends tonight." But both of them knew something else. Victor Kane never offered a straight path. Every step toward him carried another hidden blade. The convoy arrived at the factory district shortly before midnight. Rows of abandoned warehouses stretched beneath flickering streetlights. Claire's signal blinked from the center building. Adrian stepped out of the vehicle slowly. Rain fell steadily now. Security agents surrounded the entrance. Lena stayed close beside him. "You don't have to come inside," Adrian said quietly. Lena shook her head. "I started this with you." Adrian studied her for a moment, then nodded. They entered together. The factory floor stretched wide and empty. Metal catwalks above, machinery long abandoned. Claire stood in the center of the building, waiting, alone. She clapped slowly when she saw them. Adrian Cole, always predictable. Adrian's voice turned cold. "Where is he?" Claire smiled. "Watching." Lena scanned the shadows. "Victor Kane?" Claire shrugged. "He enjoys observing his victories." The words echoed across the empty factory. Then a spotlight snapped on above them. Victor Kane stepped onto the catwalk. Tall, calm, applauding slowly. The mastermind had finally appeared. Victor Kane leaned casually against the railing above. Rain dripped from the broken roof behind him. "You've caused me considerable trouble, Adrian." Adrian didn't look away. "You traffic human lives." Victor smiled faintly. "I provide opportunities." Lena felt anger rise inside her. "You destroy people." Victor looked at her. His gaze was calm. "Mrs. Cole." Adrian stepped slightly in front of Lena. Victor noticed. "And there it is." He spread his hands slightly. "The one variable I didn't account for." Adrian's voice hardened. "You're finished." Victor laughed softly. "You think tonight ends my network?" He nodded toward the screens mounted behind the catwalk. Video feeds appeared. Cities, airports, ports, operations already in motion. "My business is global." Victor looked back down at Adrian. "Right, but you did cost me something valuable." Adrian stayed silent. Victor's gaze shifted toward Lena again. "So I'll take something from you." Security agents raised their weapons. Victor raised one finger. "Careful." He pressed a remote. A timer appeared on the screens. 10 minutes. Lena frowned. "What is that?" Victor's voice turned colder. "A data release." Adrian's eyes widened slightly. "What data?" Victor smiled. "The identity registry your assistant helped me copy." The truth crashed into the room. In 10 minutes, every protected identity Adrian created would be exposed worldwide. Victor Kane straightened calmly. Tick, tock. The war had reached its final moment. The timer began counting down. 9:52, 9:51. Every second echoed through the massive factory. Adrian stared at the screens. If the registry released, every woman he protected would become a target again. Hundreds of lives ruined. Victor Kane watched calmly from above. "Your move!" Lena's mind raced. There had to be a way. Her eyes moved across the catwalk. The wiring, the central server Victor had connected behind him. Then the idea hit. The secret phone. She pulled it from her pocket. Adrian looked at her. "What are you doing?" Lena whispered quickly. "The women." She opened the contact list. Wife number 1, wife number 2, wife number 4. She began a group call. Adrian understood instantly. "You're bringing them in?" "Yes." The call connected. Multiple voices answered. Fearful, confused. Lena spoke quickly. "Victor Kane is broadcasting your identities." Silence fell on the line. Then one woman answered firmly. "Not if we expose him first." Lena looked up at Adrian. The witnesses were ready. Victor Kane believed he controlled the story, but now the people he hunted were about to speak. The countdown reached 4:30. Victor Kane watched with growing curiosity as Adrian and Lena whispered to the phone. "What are you attempting?" he asked. Adrian smiled faintly. "Something you didn't plan for." Victor frowned slightly. Then every screen in the factory flickered. The display changed. Video windows appeared. 5 women, different locations, different cities, each face determined. One by one they began speaking, describing Victor's network, his trafficking routes, his offshore accounts. The evidence streamed live across Adrian's global network. Victor's smile vanished. "What did you do?" Lena looked up at him. "We told the truth." Adrian's analysts had already pushed the broadcast into public channels. News networks, law enforcement, global media. Victor Kane's empire was being exposed in real time. Sirens began echoing in the distance. Police, federal agents. Victor stepped back from the railing slowly. For the first time, the man looked uncertain. The countdown reached 0, but the data release never happened. Adrian had cut the broadcast server. Victor Kane's plan collapsed. Sirens screamed closer outside the factory. Victor looked toward the exits. Too late. Armed agents flooded the building, weapons raised. "Victor Kane!" He raised his hands slowly. Claire attempted to run. Security officers intercepted her immediately. Adrian watched silently as Victor was placed in restraints. The mastermind smiled faintly. "You won tonight." Adrian answered quietly. "No." He nodded toward the screens where the women still spoke. "They did." Victor Kane was escorted away. His empire finished. The war was over. Hours later, the sun began rising over the city. News networks broadcast the story everywhere. Victor Kane's trafficking empire dismantled. Witnesses protected. Adrian Cole revealed as the man who secretly saved dozens of lives. Lena stood beside him on the balcony of their mansion. The ocean looked peaceful again. Adrian handed her the secret phone. "No more locked drawers." She smiled softly. "No more secrets." The phone buzzed gently in her hand. New caller ID appeared. Unknown target. Lena looked up at Adrian. "Another one." Adrian nodded slowly. "Yes." Because somewhere in the world, another life needed protection, and their story was only beginning. If you made it to the end of this story, subscribe to the channel, like, share the video, and tell me in the comments what moment shocked you the most. More stories like this are coming soon. Stay connected.